Once upon a time, there was an old lady who lived in a cottage garden. It was a very typical cottage garden in that she grew all manner of flowers, pretty little flowers, daisies, tulips, you name it. And one night she was awakened by the sound of singing and she couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And she looked out of her window and there was nobody there, there was nothing there. She went downstairs and looked everywhere and she could not figure out where the singing was coming from. It was a very sweet lullaby. And then eventually she realised it was coming from the flower bed. But there was no sign of anybody there. But the closer she got, she realised that it was coming from the flowers themselves. The tulips were swaying, and inside that tulip was a baby, a fairy baby who was being rocked by his mother and sung to sleep. And the old lady decided not to disturb those flowers. She just made sure that nobody else did. And she listened night after night to that music that used to send her to sleep. And sadly, one day the old lady died. And when that house was sold, it was sold to a young couple who did not want to have these flowers. They wanted to grow vegetables. So the most part of that ground was turned into tarmac and they kept just a space for vegetables to grow. But the vegetables wouldn't grow, no matter how much they tried, no matter how much they put into it, how many products they bought to feed the soil, it didn't work. Nothing would grow there since those flowers had been taken away. But where the old lady was buried, in the churchyard, there were flowers galore. They grew, and not only did they grow, but they never died. They thrived, and those little fairies came back again, kept their babies rocking in those little flowers to put them to sleep. And that became the new cottage garden that was now in the cemetery.